محمد. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام، صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عامي هذا وفي كل عام، واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا حنان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، واجب يا رحيم دعوتي، واقل يا غفور عسرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعسرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما، إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وصفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي، عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي، أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من إجابتك، فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك، فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي يبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور، فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيم منك علي. يا ربي إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحبب إلي وأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، كأن اليد تطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله، ولا شبيه يشاكله، ولا ظهير يعاضده. قهر بعزته الأعزاء وتواضع لعظمته العظماء، فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي، ويسر علي كل عورة وأنا أعصيه، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازيه. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني، وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني، وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه، ولا يغلق بابه، ولا يرد سائله، ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين، ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين، ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبين الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين، صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها، وترجف الأرض وعمارها، وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا، وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق، ويرزق ولا يرزق، ويطعم ولا يطعم، ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى، وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير، وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك، وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك. أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسلم، وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم صل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك، وحجتك على خلقك، وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمام الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر، وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي، والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم صل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعية إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك يستخلف في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملناه وما قصرنا عنه فبلغناه. اللهم المم به شعثنا واشعب به صدعنا وارتق به فتقنا وكثر به قلتنا وعزز به ذلتنا وأغن به عائلنا واقض به عن مغرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به خلتنا ويسر به عسرنا وبيض به وجوهنا وفك به أسرنا وأنجح به طلبتنا وانجز به مواعيدنا واستجب به دعوتنا وأعطنا به سؤلنا وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين اشف به صدورنا وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله وغيبة ولينا وكثرة عدو وقلة عددنا وشدة الفتن بنا وتظاهر الزمان علينا فصل على محمد وآله وأعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله وبضر تكشفه ونصر تعزه وسلطان حق تظهره ورحمة منك تجللناها وعافية منك تلبسناها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم برحمتك في الصالحين فادخلنا وفي عليين فارفعنا وبكأس من معين من عين سلسبيل فاسقنا ومن الحور العين برحمتك فزوجنا ومن الولدان المخلدين كأنهم لؤلؤ مكنون فاختمنا ومن ثمار الجنة والحوم الطير فأطعمنا ومن ثياب السندس والحرير والاستبرق فألبسنا، وليلة القدر وحج بيتك الحرام وقتلا في سبيلك فوفق لنا، وصالح الدعاء والمسألة فاستجب لنا. وإذا جمعت الأولين والآخرين يوم القيامة فارحمنا، وبراءة من النار فاكتب لنا، وفي جهنم فلا تغلنا، وفي عذابك وهوانك فلا تبتلنا، ومن الزقوم والضريع فلا تطعمنا، ومع الشياطين فلا تجعلنا، وفي النار على وجوهنا فلا تكببنا، ومن ثياب النار وسرابيل القطران فلا تلبسنا، ومن كل سوء يا لا إله إلا أنت، بحق لا إله إلا أنت فنجنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر من الأمر المحتوم في الأمر الحكيم من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل، أن تكتبني من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم المشكور سعيهم المغفور ذنوبهم المكفر عن سيئاتهم، وأن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر أن تطيل عمري في خير وعافية، وتوسع في رزقي، وتجعلني ممن تنتصر به لدينك ولا تستبدل به غيري. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا ذا الذي كان قبل كل شيء ثم خلق كل شيء ثم يبقى ويفنى كل شيء، يا ذا الذي ليس كمثله شيء، ويا ذا الذي ليس في السماوات العلى ولا في الأرضين السفلى ولا فوقهن ولا تحتهن ولا بينهن إله يعبد غيره، لك الحمد حمد لا يقوى على إحصائه إلا أنت، فصل على محمد وآل محمد صلاة لا يقوى على إحصائها إلا أنت. اللهم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. إلهي وقف السائلون ببابك ولاذ الفقراء بجنابك، ووقفت سفينة المساكين على ساحل بحر جودك وكرمك، يرجون الجواز إلى ساحة رحمتك ونعمتك. إلهي إن كنت لا تغفر في هذا الشهر الشريف إلا لمن أخلص لك في صيامه وقيامه، فمن للمذنب المقصر إذا غرق في بحر ذنوبه وآثامه. إلهي إن كنت لا ترحم إلا المطيعين فمن للعاصين، وإن كنت لا تقبل إلا من العاملين فمن للمقصرين. إلهي ربح الصائمون وفاز القائمون ورجى المخلصون ونحن عبيدك المذنبون، فارحمنا برحمتك وعاتقنا من النار بعفوك. يا كريم يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم أغني كل فقير، اللهم اشبع كل جائع، اللهم اكسو كل عريان، اللهم اقض دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين، اللهم اشفي كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين والسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. صلوات. Last night we had reached a point where we were discussing, after having discussed the various benefits of Surah Kahf, we had started to move further in the sense that how did this surah and why did the surah was it revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We had mentioned that every ayat that comes out from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it comes out because of events that take place. And we've given two examples: the event of Ghadir, the event of the adab on that individual who doubted the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi. Now we slowly start going more into the depths of the surah. And we had reached a point where we were talking about we needed to understand when and for what reason. Okay. So I've decided to put some PowerPoint slides as we go forward. It becomes easier because tafsir is something that you need to focus on word by word. And that will also give an opportunity when an ayah comes, you recite the month of Ramadan, every ayah you recite, one Quran, thawab, it's always nur ala nur. Okay, very quickly. So in terms of the reason why the surah was revealed, Surah Kahf, we had started at a point yesterday, and in order to understand this, we need to go back a little in time to understand how the Jews associated with the Holy Prophet and the world of Islam. Although I must mention, Surah Kahf is a Makki surah. It was revealed in Makkah. But overall, the general perception how things worked was that when the Prophet moved to Medina, he established a lot of relationships with the Jews and the various tribes around. So people who say that it's a violent religion, it was spread at the point of a sword, I mean, they don't know the history, because the first thing that the Prophet did was establish brotherhood between the Muhajirin and Ansar, and secondly, established peace treaties and covenances with the various tribes, the Jewish tribes around. So initially when he went there, it was all absolutely hunky-dory. Where did things go wrong? And we mentioned yesterday, Surah Baqarah, verse number 275. And where did that verse create a problem was this. Jews from times immemorial have been a very affluent community. They had a lot of wealth. And you've heard about it in Majalis and the Battle of Khaybar and the fort of Khaybar and the gold that was there at the time. And they would have to break it with pickaxes, the gold, to distribute it. And so the reason was that they had always endeavored, they knew that the final messenger would come from them. And in order to help him, they had started collecting money, funds, horses, ammunitions, equipments, tools, so that when he would come, they would help him. They were expecting him to be from the Jewish community. He turned out from the Arab community. And so despite the fact that Quran says, وَيَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم, the description of the Holy Prophet was so meticulously maintained in the Torah that they knew him as they would know their children. When you have our children in a gathering of 200 people, you just look in one eye sight, you look and you'll know, oh, that's my son. Because you know him so well in and out that you don't need to look around. One glance and say, oh, my son is sitting over there. Quran says they knew about the Holy Prophet just as so closely as if they knew their children. But this bias and prejudice that they wanted him to be from the Jewish community, he came out from the Arab community, they turned back. As a result of it, they were financially very strong. Even at the time of the Arabian Peninsula, at the time of Hijrah, they were financially very strong. Now you have to understand, in Medina, when the Prophet migrated, there were the Jewish communities on the periphery of Medina. Khaybar is a few kilometers outside Medina in those days. And then you have the Arab tribes in Medina. There was a very symbiotic relationship between the Arabs and the Jews at that time. And the symbiotic relationship was this, that the Jews had a lot of money. The Arabs did not have money. But the Arabs had military power, which the Jews did not have. So what the Jews would do is they would go to different tribes. Each tribe of Jew would go to a different tribe of the Arabs living there. Say, look, we have got money. We are not military people. We are economic people. We are involved in fiscal issues and financial issues. We are an economic and commercial community. You are a military community. You're experts in warfare. We are experts in economics. We don't have a military background to support us. You don't have a financial background to support funds to you. We will give you money, you give us protection. You know the kind of the mafia stuff that goes on? We give you money, you protect us. So each Jewish tribe would pick up one Arab tribe and say, we will give you protection money. You have to protect us. If there an aggression takes place on us by any other tribe, you have to bring your military might to support. So every of these tribes of the Arabs in and around Medina had a group of the Arab tribe that they were supporting. So they would get the money from the Jews and they would support them militarily. The entire financial background of the Jews in those times, as it is now, was based on one thing, which is interest. Today, the entire financial world runs on interest. Whether it is you take your credit card, whether you take mortgages from the bank, whether you take loans from the bank, whether it's buy now and pay later, it's all based on one fundamental fulcrum, and that is interest. So the Jews, the entire financial structure as is currently imposed on in terms of the banking system with interest, over there exactly it was the same. So initially everything was, as I mentioned, hunky-dory. Everybody liked. They are getting support of the Arabs are getting money, everything fine. The Prophet comes, he goes even a step further. After some time, you remember, the Prophet, after he goes there, he becomes very powerful. So he says, you are going to remain in the Arabs have accepted me as a prophet. They've called me from Makkah. They've supported me. The Muhajirin are there. The Ansar are there. I'm very powerful, but no worry. You will be remaining in total ease and comfort. We will give you protection. The Arabs will give you protection. Nothing to worry about. Everything was working fine till this verse comes down. And the verse 275 of Surah Baqarah. أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. All of a sudden, Quran comes out and says, look, there are certain things I like about the community when Islam comes in. So when Islam came in, certain things it liked, it adopted. Certain things it did not like, it rejected. Certain things it liked and it modified it. So when it came, it saw things like polytheism and idol worship and idolatry. So we don't like it, out. In Tawheed, there is no place for idolatry. There is no place for polytheism, out. Certain things, Islam says, we like it very much. We will keep it. Like business. Business is good. You will do it. Certain things, Islam says, we like it, but we can't take it the way you're doing it. It has to be modified. For example, nikah. Over there, at that time, there were 30, 40 women married. Islam comes and says the institution of nikah and marriage is good, but not as you want. We will take it up, we will fine-tune it. From 40, we'll bring down to 4. So when Islam came, certain things it rejected outright. Certain things it accepted outright. Certain things it accepted after modification. This aspect, when it came in terms of transaction, Allah says this transaction that you do is made up of two parts. One is business dealings that you do, which is bay'ah. In Arabic, it is referred to as bay'ah. And the second aspect of a transaction is related to interest, which is in Arabic referred to as riba. It says, riba we will not take, bay'ah we will take. And immediately all of a sudden the verse comes, أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ. Allah has made business transactions halal, وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. And He's made riba haram. The moment this verse comes, immediately the Jews are up in arms. Because what is happening is the fundamentals of economics is now being floundered. They are based in the Arabian Peninsula, which is based on the Arabs, which is based on the deen of Islam. And now this man has come and said the very fundamentals of the business that has given you the economic, made you the economic superpower, it's all gone. It cannot sustain. And immediately they felt threatened. With this support that we give to the Holy Prophet, if the Arabs reject the interest, our entire colossal economic system will collapse. This man cannot be tolerated. And hence the entire structure collapsed between the Holy Prophet and the Jews. And then you had these wars with the Jews, the Khaybar and the Khandaqs, and then you had the Ahzab battle, all of them starting with the point that this man is trying to break down our economic structure. Money you don't touch, yeah? Today you can't touch the dollar, can you? You can't. What happened to Libya? Libya was not like Saddam. He was not threatening any country and killing. But there were certain things he was trying to do to get rid of the dependence of the dollar. You can't go against the dollar. It will not work. At least in the current scenario, it will not work. They will not allow you to work. They want all transaction of the world to go through New York. It has to. Morgan and Chase, it has to. Because that's where they control all the sanctions. That's where they control all the finances. If people began dealing in yuan and gold coins, as Indonesia once tried to do, and his president was kicked out, it doesn't work. It will not be allowed to happen in the current world order. What happens afterwards is a different issue. They will not allow him to touch their money, the Jews, and so they turned against him. Now, in this background, keep this in mind. The Jews were financial powerhouses, not military force. The Arabs' military force, a symbiotic relationship between the Jews and the Arabs. Jews were good till the time their interests were not threatened. The moment the interests were threatened, now they stand up. So this understanding is there. From the time the Prophet came up, to park this now, I'm giving you modules, and then we will link up the modules to give you a complete picture. At the time when the Prophet came, the first thing that he said was, قُولُوا لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ تُفْلِحُونَ. Say La ilaha illallah. So there's one God and you will be successful. Since that time onwards, the Quraysh started a mission of opposing Islam. And you know that. Everybody knows that. We don't need to go into that. Everything possible were made, planned, strategized to make sure, even assassination attempt on the life of the Holy Prophet. Efforts were made to do anything and everything that would uproot this religion that has now come our way. They tried, and I'm not taking it to a holistic picture. Don't go year by year. I'm giving you a picture at various stages of what strategies the enemies adopted against Islam. At times, they tried to get rid of the Holy Prophet. Hijrat came, the Prophet was saved. At times, after moving, they tried military expeditions. Badr came, Uhud came, Khandaq came, Khaybar came, Muta came, Tabuk came, XYZ, XYZ. None of them were successful. So what do we do? As time passed in Medina, the Prophet became even more powerful militarily. Now they couldn't contest him militarily. So what would they do? So now again, strategies. He says, he's become too strong now. We tried to kill him, he went hijrat. The Aus and Khazraj picked him up, we couldn't counter their forces. So he escaped. We had battles, doesn't work. We gathered all the people, all the kuffar, including the Jews. Ahzab, nothing worked. What do we do? So many times we say, look, what is the fundamentals of this man when he came? What does he talk about? He says, there is one God that you can't see, you can't touch. So that is beyond our understanding. But he says, this book, the Quran, is the word of God. If by some way we can prove this book to be hollow, we can arrange or prove that this book does not have the profundity as it is made out to be, automatically the edifice of Islam will collapse. So they started challenging the Quran. As soon as God saw they were challenging the Quran, he said, I'm ready for the challenge. So on 3 occasions, Quran itself gives a challenge. When Arabic terminology is referred to as tahaddi. Tahaddi means Quran comes and says, I know you're trying to oppose me. I know you're trying to oppose my prophet. I know you're trying to oppose my religion, and you have sat down to discuss in bringing down my book. I'm giving the challenge. If you have the ability, bring a book like the Quran. I'm very quickly going through summarizing. They tried, they could not do the whole Quran. Allah raised the stakes. He says, forget about the whole Quran. I'm challenging you to bring out these all verses of the Quran. Ashra suwaran minha. Bring 10 surahs of the like of Quran. They tried, they couldn't bring the like of Quran. He says, you will not be able to. I'm raising my challenge. 114 verses, forget 114 surahs in the Quran, forget 114 surahs. فَأَتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. Bring one surah like the Quran. If you are able to bring, I will wrap up my book, I will close my religion, enjoy yourselves. So all along they were trying, if we in some manner can bring out some controversies, some contradictions in the Quran which does not match with the science of the time of our knowledge and it cannot be explained, we will prove this book is not book from God, it is from this man. And if it is a man-made book, then it is not a divine book. If it is not a divine book, the religion that is based on this book, which is man-made, will not be divine, it will be man-made. If it is a man-made religion, we can wrap it up and put it into the bin. As a result of which you will find in numerous cases in history, one of the things that the Quraysh would do, one of the things that the Jews would do, one of the things that the Ahl-e-Najran would do, would come into debates with the Prophet. They would come to Amir al-Mu'mineen to debate. They will come asking questions. They will ask questions from what they took out from their religious scriptures to see if the Prophet or Amir al-Mu'mineen would be able to answer. Obviously they would be answering because they get their aim from the same source that has revealed Torah and Injil and Quran. Now look, they've tried numerous methods. They tried militarily. They did not succeed. They tried assassination. They did not succeed. They tried to find fault with the Quran. They could not succeed. So then they would put hand to hand together. Numerous wufud. Wufud means waft. Waft in Arabic means delegation. Numerous times delegation would come before the Prophet. This mubahala was what initially? What prompted mubahala? Mubahala was prompted because they came to Medina to debate with the Prophet. We can't fight you militarily. You're too strong. We cannot assassinate you because now you're cocooned by your guards. The only way is now we will prove your religion wrong by debates. They debated him. He countered. They did not accept, not willing to accept. What happens? Okay, finally, let's go to Mubahala. Even Mubahala fails when they see those entities. Correct? Everybody knows what happens. Everything is failing. The only difference was this. They would keep sending these delegations, waqfan and waqfan, waqfan for waqfan, and waqtan for waqtan, at times repeatedly. Till the Prophet was there, there was no problem because he was ilm, mujassam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that would come, he would answer. When he was not there, the Holy Prophet would say, if I'm not there, ask this man. Who? Amirul Mu'mineen. Again, there's no difference between the ilm of the Holy Prophet and Amirul Mu'mineen. So they would answer. The problem was when? The problem was in those 25 years when Ali was sidelined. Do you ever remember, and you've heard it so many times in our majalis in Urdu, how many times have we heard Lawla Ali la halak fulan? How many times? It is said for the first, not just the second, the first, the second, the third, all of them. All of them have said it. Lawla Ali la halak fulan. Why did they say it, Why would they say it? They were ruling the entire Islamic empire. There was nobody who could talk sense. If a person comes and says a fulan namaz in month of Ramadan has to be prayed in Jamaat, people would say, but this was not there at the time of the Prophet. So I'm ordering it and it becomes wajib. What more do you want in terms of saitara and authority? If somebody comes and says mut'a was made halal at the time of the Prophet, mut'a of marriage and the mut'a of hajj. The person comes and says mut'atani muhall. These are words. Mut'atani muhallalatan kanat fi zaman Rasulullah wa ana uharrimuhuma. The two mut'as that was allowed at the time of the Prophet, wa ana uharrimuhuma. I am making them haram. And people accept it as haram today. Now, even today, they are accusing us of doing mut'a as a prostitution. If that kind of control is there, why would somebody say, Lawla Ali la halaka fulan? There is no need to debase himself in front of a community which is like a ball in their hands. Don't underestimate the authority that they exercised. At times we talk about Muawiyah reciting Salatul Jum'ah on a Wednesday in Sham, and we say, wow, what a control he had over the people of Sham. The same type of saitara and authority these people exercised over here. But what was the need for Lawla Ali la halaka fulan? You know why? It was not for internal issues that they would say this usually. It was when you have these wufud and delegations from outside talking to them about religious scriptures that they had no knowledge of. But Ali at the time of Wilayat would recite the Zabur and the Torah and the Injil and the Quran. When they would not be able to answer, and in front of the external ambassadors, when they found themselves lacking, they had to preserve their repute and the repute of Islam. Who can answer? I cannot answer. Nobody can answer. Who can answer? Ali ibn Abi Talib. It is Allah Salam. So then they would call Ali. This guy is talking about Torah. We don't know about Quran. What we will answer about Torah? You answer. He says, I know what Torah says about it. I will rule in them for their rulings based on the rulings of Torah. And all of it you heard of. This is not ये कोई लफाजी नुक्ता बयान नहीं कर रहा मैं आपके सामने. ये फन खिताबत आपके सामने बयान नहीं करता. I'm telling you reality. हम ये खिताबत तो हमारा है ही नहीं. हम तो बस ऐसी मजलिस पढ़ के चले जाते हैं. But this is a reality. Then when they would find in front of these delegations When these delegation would come, ask them, in our books, this is where you tell us what is there in your religion. अब जो आधी जिंदगी जो है वो शिर्क में गुजरी हो, और जो है 13 साल या 20 साल जो है वो मान मुश्किल से इस्लाम में आए हो, वो जो कुरान के बारे में नहीं जानते हो, तौरात और ज़बूर के बारे में, how will they know about it? Then whom did they go? There is no other person except Ali ibn Abi Talib. Then when Ali would come, and then they would be able to save their face, then they would say, Lawla Ali la halaka fulan. Ali तुम ना होते तो आज हम रसवा हो जाते को नसरा ये मुशहरी के ये जो है दज्जाल के सामने और मसीही के सामने, यहूदियों के सामने, तुम आए हो, हमें जो है हमें इज्जत बख्शी है, तुमने जो हमारे मसले को हल कर दिया. That is when Lawla Ali really comes into effect. So having understood that, I'll just take a little digression over here. When we are talking about the interest, yeah, there's something that we need to know when it comes to the interest and how things play out. You know, on one side that Quran says, وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى, Allah has made riba haram. But at the same time, you've heard so many video clips that you can take mortgage from the bank. So you can take mortgage from the bank and you can also give them interest. You have respected Maulana Ali Raza Mehdavi's video, and Maulana, I think it's Kamal Mehdavi Sahib as well, and Maulana Amir Yasubi, and all these videos are there. Now the question comes, if Harramallahu Rabba, how does that match up with the mortgage? You're paying interest, isn't it? You're paying interest. So then if that interest is there, then how does it work with that Harramallahu Rabba? If it is haram, then they should not be allowed. If you guys are allowing it, then why is Allah saying haram? So where is it? We need to understand this. You may be asked. You are asked. People on the outside say, you've made interest halal. Look, you have, in order to understand the answer to this, you have to understand how fiqh works in Islam. In fiqh, we've got a ruling which says, okay, let me read it out and then I will try to translate it as much as possible. It says, Ma min amin illa waqad khus. There is no generalized ruling except that ruling has exceptions. 99% of the rulings in Islam, when they are generalized, there are exceptions. For example, when you offer namaz and salat, yeah, you say Allahu Akbar, that's called takbiratul ihram. In the entire namaz, there are numerous times you say Allahu Akbar. That's only the first one is referred to as takbiratul ihram. All the others are not referred to as takbiratul ihram. They're referred to as takbir, not takbiratul ihram. Takbiratul ihram, an absolute English translation will be the takbir of ihram. Ihram comes from the word haram. That means takbiratul ihram means that takbir which makes things haram. So when you start your namaz, that takbir makes certain things haram in the prayers. So once you say that takbir, now you can't talk in the salat. You can't turn away from the qibla. You can't break your salat. You can't eat. You can't drink. You can't jump. All these things become haram. Once you start your prayers with that takbir makes certain things haram. That is what is called takbiratul ihram. When you start in namaz, everybody knows fiqh. It is haram to break your prayers. That is a general rule. But Quran says, but the fiqh says, all rulings in certain circumstances have exceptions. So you're praying 2 rakat namaz. It says dhuhr 4 rakat namaz. Somebody rings the doorbell, it is haram for you to break it. Even if it's Amazon delivering an emergency parcel, you can't stop your prayers. You have to complete your prayers, yeah? But what happens if you're praying namaz, say we've gone for a, say, Eid program, next to a river, you're praying namaz, and you're seeing a small 2-year-old or 3-year-old boy crawling, going to the shore, to the next to the swimming pool or to the river, and he's about to fall. You can see he's about to fall. What will you do? Would you still continue your prayers? You can see nobody's around, it's only you. At this point of time, you break your prayers, go hold that child so that he doesn't drown. But what happened to that original ruling of it is haram to break the prayers? It says, yes, generalized ruling, ma min amin illa waqad khus. There will be certain circumstances where you will be allowed to break your prayer. The normal thing that you teachers in madrasa give to your examples to your kids, what do you say? It is haram to eat a maita, a dead body, which is not slaughtered according to Islam. That's a normal example you give. If you go to a desert, you find there is nothing to eat, nothing to drink, you're about to die, there's nothing you have, and there's a dead body of a camel. So, no, I'm going to die, it's haram, I won't eat it. You are allowed to eat so much to save yourself. So where is that ruling about a ghayr mudakka, somebody that is not slaughtered according to Islam should not be eaten? Some say, yes, that's a general ruling, but certain circumstances give you exceptions. Yes? These are the exceptions that you're talking. Who decides these exceptions? You, me, or the one who set up the ruling of Islam? God. This television, I don't know what brand it is, Samsung, Sony. When this television says, it's assuming it's Sony, yeah? When you buy this television, along with it comes a small little instruction manual, a manual. That will tell you how to operate it, what are things that is good for it, what are things that you'll do that will spoil it, operate it between this temperature and that temperature, below this will be spoiled, it will not work, above it, it will not work, don't give, subject it to an extra voltage, put a voltage protector, XYZ, XYZ. Why? Because Sony, when it has prepared this television, knows what are its things that will harm it and things that will benefit it. So it tells you, I have created it, I know what is good for it, I know what is bad for it. These rulings of God is because we come from the factory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows what is good for us, He knows what is bad for us. The world may go to the top of the mountain and call out alcohol is good. Allah says, I know better than them. Alcohol is not good for you. The vagaries of alcohol is more than the benefits for haram upon you. The Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala identify for us what we need to do and what we not need to do. So He tells us, don't break your prayers, it is haram. But if a child is drowning, then I'm giving you permission to break your prayers. Correct? It's God who does it. Let's come to the issue of riba. In the issue of riba, while it is said, Harramallahu riba, that God who has made haram the riba has also said, these are the items that I don't want you to indulge in interest. But there are certain items that you may deal in interest that I don't find it's going to be detrimental. You can do that. And these Maulanas and the ulama, when they say mortgage with these conditions, with this niyat, istinqadul haqq, not taking it as a loan but as majhulul malik, with that niyat, it is permissible because the Masumeen have said, we can see in the Lawh Mahfuz, Allah said, loans taken in this format is allowed. Now you have no right to complain, huh? Why is this particular, you give cash to somebody $100 and you take $110, that is haram. But the same thing I'm doing with mortgage, I'm taking 100,000 and giving back 110,000. What's the difference? Says you don't know, that's why we follow the marja, the taqleed. We don't have rights to question, because you know why? Because we're being selective. We're not applying uniform rules for all. Let me give an example to tell you. Where you keep quiet, but here you want to talk and oppose. Oh, harramallahu riba. But then these Maulanas come and the ulama come and say halal. Is there a contradiction? But there are so many cases in which Allah has given a ruling and He's given exceptions. In these cases, it's permissible. For example, and I'm going to keep it very, the way alfaz make the elders understand it. Physical relation between husband and wife. The physical relation between husband and wife, pre-nikah is what? Is haram, correct? Pre-nikah is haram. What happens post-nikah? It's the same act. At that time you don't say, that was haram. Now it's jaiz. Why? Even now it should be haram. You don't do that. For honeymoon you make such a lot of lavish arrangements. Hotels of $250 a night, $300 a night. You decorate it with another $100 of worth of decoration, $150 worth of decoration. At that time, you don't say, "Oh, pehle to haram tha, abhi haram hona chahiye, aisa magarmari nahi kare." But there you accept it. You know, not just permissible. At times, this becomes mustahab. What was haram in one instance, with a change in sharaat, that becomes mustahab 4 nights before tonight. The first night of Maha Ramadan, it is mustahab. Shab-e-Jum'ah, it's mustahab. At At that time you don't say, wo time pe to haram tha, ab kyun mustahab ho gaya, abhi haram karo. No. At times, forget about permissibility and mustahab. At times it could become wajib and haram not to indulge. Say 4 months if you don't go, it's haram, you have to do once in 4 months. So, wahan jo hai, certain things that was haram, it becomes permissible, becomes mustahab, becomes wajib, then you don't have problems. But in interest, what was haram, and on the teachings of the Masumin, the ulama take out those different aspects where interest is permissible, we have a problem. Or there's a contradiction between Islam and religion. ये मौलाना जो है ना, वो अपने जेब से निकाल लेते हैं. वो है ना वो वाक़या, पता नहीं वो अपने सुना था कि नहीं, कि वो शिकारी जो है वो एक मौलाना थे, अपने शिकार करने गए तो एक कबूतर भी पकड़ लिए और एक कौवा भी पकड़ लिया. कबूतर भी रो रहा है, कौवा भी रो रहा है. अब तो सुना था ना, वो तो कबूतर रो रहा है, कौवा पूछता है कबूतर को क्यों रो रहे हो, तो पकड़ लिया, अभी ये मौलाना जो है हमको ज़बा कर लेगा. तो तू क्यों रो रहा, तू तो कौवा है, तो हराम है तेरा गोश्त खाना. बोलता है ये मौलवी की है ये जाल, तो फतवा निकाल के मुझे भी ज़बा करके खा जाएगा. But that is not the truth. That really is not the truth. These come up with a certain background. So कहने का मतलब ये था कि बताने के लिए देखिए interest haram है, but certain places where the Masumin have told us, because understand, these people look at the Lawh Mahfuz. They've been given that authority to look at Lawh Mahfuz, and that's what they said to us. तो वो समझ लीजिएगा, don't argue. If the marja has said don't argue, we don't have the right, we don't have the qualification or the eligibility to counter them. Accept it as sami'na wa ata'na. Otherwise, when Imam comes, we're going to be in big trouble. Anyway, coming back to this, having just explained the reason of wanting to know why the nuzul came down, and given that background, now comes the real point. The real point is, why was the surah revealed? The surah was revealed because of the same strategy. The Quraysh wanted to prove this man that has come and says "Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu" is a false man. लेकिन कैसे बताए कि ये जो है जाली इंसान है, नाउज़ु बिल्लाह. The Quraysh knew they did not have any standing in terms of religion. They knew it at times. So they decided amongst themselves, this is in Makkah now, they decided amongst themselves, this man is claiming to have ilmul ghaib. He says, I get information from God. This angel comes, Jibreel they call him. He comes and gives them the information. We need to test this man, how true he is. But we don't have anything. हमारा तो खोखला है, idol worship, idolatry, कुछ नहीं हमारे पास. ये हुबल लात उज़्ज़ा जो है, बात करते सामने जवाब नहीं देता. अब वो रस्म बन चुकी है, भी अब इबादत करते हैं, it's okay, but he's not giving us anything. What do we do? Sorry, what do we do? So let's go to Medina. But the Medina में क्या करेंगे? But say Medina, the Jews, they have religious scriptures. Let's go to them. Now we're coming into the details of Surah Kahf. This was all background. It was necessary to build the base. 3 people from Makkah. This is in the initial stages. The Holy Prophet is there. The towering hand of Abu Talib is over him. They can't touch him. So now we have to prove he's wrong. He says he knows things from God. We will ask him certain things which he's not able to answer. Once he's not able to answer, we will say this man is a fraud. Na'udhu billah. So 3 members from Makkah, they traveled to Medina. To some of the tribes of the Jews, they gather them. Says, we got a major problem on our hands. What? This man has come. He's trying to denigrate our idols. He's saying nothing. Says there's only one God. Fulan. He says he gets knowledge from the unseen. We have no background in terms of religious scriptures. You've got religious scriptures. Tell us certain points which we can phrase in the form of a question and ask this man. If he answers, okay, then we take the next step. If he doesn't answer, khalas, this entire fitna for us is gone. So the Jews sat, he says, we'll tell you. An entire group of scholars of Jews sat with these 3 individuals who had come from Makkah. It says, we will tell you. We will dictate to you. They'll give you 4 questions. Take these 4 questions to that man in Makkah and ask him the answers. For 3, he should give you the answers, and this is the answer. They said the question, they dictated the answer, they said the question, they dictated the answer, They said the question, they dictated the answer. So it's 3 questions you ask them. His answer should tally this, because this is what we've got from our Torah. The 4th question, if he answers, understand he's a fraud. He should not know the answer to this. He should tell you, I don't know this answer. I will wait for God to tell me. If he makes an attempt to answer this question, understand he's a charlatan. Tell us, what are the questions? So the first question, ask him about those young boys who left their ministerial palaces. They went away from the kingdom. They went into a cave. They went off to sleep. Ask them who these people were. وَمَا هُوَ قِصَّتُهُمْ. What is the مَا هِيَ قِصَّتُهُمْ? What is the qissa? What is the story? How many were there? كَمْ عَدَدُهُمْ. How many people were there? How long did they live? What was the situation? Tell him to answer. Then they dictated the answer to him. This is the answer that he should tell you. Point number 1. Point number 2, ask him, who was that man that God told Musa to meet in the banks of the river? Ask him, why did it take place? What happened after he met? How many instances took place? What happened in those instances? Eventually, what happened to this entire story? They dictated the answer, because this entire incident of Hazrat Musa and Hazrat Khidr is there in Torah. They had it in their books. So they dictated the question, they dictated the answer. So what is the 3rd question? So the third question is, ask him about that man, man tafa maghrib ash-shams wa matla'aha. A man who traveled from the west to the east, reaches a point where he then builds a barrier to enclose Yajuj and Majuj. Ask this man who's claiming to be a prophet who this man was, what his story was, how did he build the barrier, what exactly was the entire incident. They dictated the answer to them. So what is the 4th one? The 4th one, the 2 riwayats. I'm going by 1 riwayat. So ask him, what is the reality of ruh? Ruh ki haqiqat kya hai? If he answers this question, understand he's a charlatan. He should not answer this question. He should say, I don't know. I will have to seek answers from God. Khalas, they noted down. These people returned back to Makkah. They returned back to Makkah, straight in front of who? They went to their entire group, the leaders, the entire entourage from the leadership goes to Abu Talib. So Abu Talib, wayna ibn ammak, ibn akhi, where's the son of your brother? The one who claims he has akhbar from the ghaib. Says, well, why do you want him? Says, we want to prove, we want to know whether he's a real person, he's a real prophet. We want to ask him questions. Said, okay. Calls Muhammad, come here. He sits down. Prophet says, what do you want to know? Says, we got 4 questions. We want you to answer. Prophet sits down. Says, look, I have told you, I get information from the ghaib, but I need to be informed by God. I have to be told by God. So ask me, and I will tell you the answer. They said, first question, who are those boys? How many? How long did they sleep? What was the situation in this cave? Whom did Musa meet? What was the entire story? Third one, Zulqarnain. Who was that man? Fala, Yajuj, Majuj. And ma hiya haqiqatul ruh. What is this reality of soul? This is amazing. This is really amazing. This is such a big lesson for us. You know, sometimes we feel कि हमारे मासूमीन को खुदा ने जो ना बस ऐसे ही रखा एकदम सिल्क क्लॉथ में. बस उनके लिए तो कोई इम्तिहान है ही नहीं. जो इम्तिहान है खुदा उनकी तमाम इम्तिहान को उठाकर हमारे सर पर ठोस दिया. They go through a bigger imtihan than us. They all come to the Prophet, they ask him the question. The Prophet says, look, I told you from the beginning, I get information from Allah. Come tomorrow, I will answer you. Come tomorrow, I will answer you. Because he was expecting, as is normal, when questions are asked, he waits for God's wahy. Says, come tomorrow, I will answer you. But they go away. He says, Allah, I'm waiting now. He's waiting. That afternoon goes, evening goes, night goes, no Jibreel. Next day, the appointed time, they come. Jibreel has not come. The Prophet is worried. They come to him, Ya Muhammad, you told us to come. What is the answer? Says, I don't know. I've still not received it. Give me one more day. Prophet goes for prayers. Ya Allah, send Jibreel ko bhej de abhi. 2 days pass. Next day comes. They don't come. They come. Jibreel is not there. Says, I don't know the answer. You told us 1 day, now 2 days. Give me another 2 days, please. The 3rd day goes, Jibreel is not coming. 4th day goes, Jibreel is not coming. 1 week goes, Allah is not sending Jibreel. 15 days goes, Jibreel is not coming. Makkah up in arms. जो थोड़े गिने चुने मुसलमान हुए थे ना, वो भी मुल्क डगमगा गए. This man was saying he's got contact with God. Jibreel comes, fulan. जब जो है वो चाहते थे, जो है वो Jibreel would come down, give revelations. Ayat is revealing. He says, I'm giving it tomorrow. Tomorrow is not coming. Next day it's not coming. 2 days later it's coming. 15 days. The little people who were there began to vacillate. We made a mistake. ऐसा तो नहीं कि हम गुमराह थे कि he doesn't have anything. 1 month goes. You imagine what the Prophet can't come out of his house. आप सोचिए, एक इंसान मैं इद्दा करूं मसलन कि मैं जो एक आलिम हूं, ये हूं, वो हूं, और एक बच्चा मुझे आके कुछ सवाल करे, मैं उससे कहूंगा मैं तुम्हें कल जवाब दूं, कल मेरे पास जवाब नहीं, परसों मेरे पास जवाब नहीं, after 3 days जवाब. Where will I stand up in front of the entire community? तो चुप के घर पे बैठ जाऊं मैं. The Holy Prophet couldn't come out of his house. Every time he comes, Muhammad, what happened to your answer? दुश्मनों को छोड़ो, दोस्त, those who are his mu'mineen, say, Ya Rasulullah, where is this Jibreel of yours? 30 days, no Jibreel. 35 days, no Jibreel. He couldn't live in Makkah. ऐसी हालत हो गई कि न रह सकते थे, न निकल सकते थे. रह सकते थे नहीं, क्योंकि हर बार जो है वो निकलते थे. There would be question. He couldn't even leave Makkah, otherwise people would say, you're running away from the question. 40 days. Imagine. कितना स्ट्रेस हुआ होगा रसूल खुदा को. He's claiming, I am the representative of God. I've been to Mi'raj. I know what is there in heavens. I know what is there in hell. He speaks to me, and then when he wants the answer, there is no Jibreel coming. Riwayat batati, aisi halat, he was in such a state. You think something would be more taxing than this? Somebody making a claim and not being able to answer it? ये बिल्कुल उसी तरह हुआ ना कारून की तरह. हजरत मूसा के सामने जो इन लोग ने प्लान बनाया था, कारून made a plan to humiliate Hazrat Musa. So when Hazrat Musa used to go from village to village doing tabligh, they made a plan. Qarun got one prostitute, paid her money. Says, next time when Musa is giving wa'az and majlis and taqreer and nasihat, you stand up and say, Musa, what are you talking last night? You were with me. And this is what happened. Next day goes, taqwallah, ittaqullah, fear Lord, obedience, obey Allah, never do haram, never do sins, fulan. And this lady gets up. Ya Musa, what are you talking? Says, who are you? He says, don't you realize, recognize me? Last night we were together last night. And that entire community goes against Musa. Musa, you're telling us taqwa, look what this lady, she's lying. I've never seen her. No, I swear she was with me last night. It was then Musa cursed Qarun. परवरदिगारा, इसने तेरी नबी की जो है बेहुरमती की है. अब मैं इसका नतीजा तेरे ऊपर छोड़ रहा हूं. That is when the hukum came. Ya ardu ibn Aid, split and take Qarun under. You have tried to denigrate my, but ya khud parwardigar alam mujhe dekhna hai. You may be my Habib, you may be my best creation, but you will still not rise up and run till I test you. You have to be tested. हमारा क्या इम्तिहान? कभी पैसे नहीं है, कभी बैंक में चेक आ रहा है, पैसे नहीं है. ओ माशाअल्लाह, खुदा सिर्फ हमें नजर आया इम्तिहान लेने के लिए. Our imtihan is nothing compared to their imtihan. 40 days he can't come out, he can't eat, he can't talk to anybody. He's always praying, Allah bhej de Jibreel ko, mujhe to nahi pata. You are Allahul Ghuyub, only when you tell me the answer, I will know the answer. 40 days ke baad Jibreel comes. With what? Suratul Kahf. 70,000 angels escorting it. And the answer comes. And God says, these people have asked you questions. This was an imtihan for you. Understand, Habib? You have to go through the imtihan. The same thing that the Holy Prophet said to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When he was leaving Medina, what did Hussain say to the Holy Prophet?
या रसूल अल्लाह आपकी उम्मत ने मुझ पर देखिए क्या ढाल दिया. I want to come to you. He says, Hussein, you can't come to me. You have to go to Karbala if you want to become 21 million people coming and saying in 2022, Labbaik ya Hussein. You have no option except to go to Karbala and get killed. इम्तिहान सभी को देना है. हबीब हो कि मुर्तजा हो कि हुसैन हो. Everybody has to face the imtihan. But then when the answer comes, the answer is so perfect. अल्लाह कहता है जो तुमने पूछा है उसके बारे में भी बताऊंगा, जो तुमने नहीं पूछा उसके बारे में भी बताऊंगा. The details that have come of Suratul of Ashab-e-Kahf and of Musa and Khidr and of Zulkarnain, those details were not even asked by the Jews. God says, I'm going to give you a complete answer, but first I have to test you, my Habib. How did this entire incident of Ashab-e-Kahf now, out of the three that we are focusing, unfolds? We'll start tomorrow when we actually start looking at the slides and picking up verses. Small, beautiful points that show you the mysteries of ghaib that Allah has ensconced in this entire incident of Ashab-e-Kahf. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us tawfiq to gain more ma'rifat of the Quran, and hence by means of that gain more ma'rifat of his religion and his representatives, the Imams and the Ma'asumin alayhim as-salam. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم غفر الله لنا ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah, Assalamu alaikum ya Habib Allah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Ali ibn Abi Talib, Assalamu alaikum ya Fatima az-Zahra Sayyidat Nisa al-Alamin, Assalamu alaikum ya Hassan al-Mujtaba, Assalamu alaikum ya Hussein al-Shaheed, Assalamu alaikum ya Ali ibn Hussein wa Muhammad ibn Ali wa Ja'far ibn Muhammad wa Musa ibn Ja'far wa Ali ibn Musa wa Muhammad ibn Ali wa Ali ibn Muhammad wa Hassan ibn Ali. Assalamu alaikum ya Sahib al-Asr wa zaman, al-aman, al-aman, al-aman min fitnat al-zaman. Assalamu alaikum ya Khalifat al-Rahman, Assalamu alaikum ya Imam al-Insi wal-Jan. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.